clubs or different activities that the counselors really want to share with the kids.
Is the camp co-ed?
It is co-ed, yes. We're all there at the same time, so that's also a change from back in the day. The Boys and Girls Club, even when it was the Boys Club, we used to have 2 weeks of the summer that the girls could go down to Crosby, but now it's co-ed the whole time.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember it being strictly Boys Club.
So, and the only other caveat to it all is that for our littlest campers who are going into or have just graduated from kindergarten, the full day in Bristol is a long day.
Oh.
So we call them our kiddie campers, and they're actually based out of the Williams Avenue Clubhouse. They go down to Crosby twice a week, not for the full day, but they do local field trips. They go to the Children's Museum, they go to the park, they swim every day, but at the club where they can still have rest time and things like that.
Do they have a nap time?
They do.
They have a nap.
They do.
I like my naps.
Me too.
The Camp Crosby sounds fabulous.
It is. It's wonderful.
Now the Scouts, the Boy Scouts, they have challenges and they win awards. What about the Boys and Girls Club? Do they have challenges, physical challenges, and educational challenges where they can win awards and things?
Not quite in the same way the Scouts do, but we do have our own incentive programs. In the homework program that I mentioned, there are incentives for kids who do their homework, who do extra homework. You earn PowerPoints, and at the end of the month, the kids who've earned a certain number of PowerPoints can either participate in a special activity or they all get a special pencil or something. Then in camp, we do Camper of the Week and all the traditional Swimmer of the Week. And then our big main contest is actually for our teens. And every year, every club in the country chooses their very top teen member, and they have to be between the ages of 14 and 18. And it's called our Youth of the Year contest. And that's actually been going on for more than 50 years. You might remember it from your time with us. But every year we choose, and it's quite an extensive process that these young people go through. I liken it to a college application. They have to write essays, they have to get letters of recommendation, their transcripts, and talk about how the club impacted them and what they may have overcome in order to become, the usually college-bound child that they are at that point. And then once we've selected our Youth of the Year, they go on to compete on the state level with other Boys and Girls Club kids from Rhode Island, and then the state winner then goes on to compete at a regional level, and eventually the national winner is actually installed by the President of the United States at August.
67, I can't join.
No, but you can come and hang out.
Volunteer.
Yes, absolutely.
You have volunteer. I wanted to ask you about volunteers. At Camp Crosby, your staffers, are any of them volunteers?
No, at camp, all of our staff are paid employees, and actually the backbone of all of our all of our staff are paid.
Okay.
That's one of our principles of youth development, that we feel that it's important for kids to have the consistency of seeing the same staff day in and day out, or in our case, year in and year out. So the backbone is our paid employees, but we rely on volunteers for things like homework help. We're helping more than 130 kids a day with their homework. That's overwhelms any staff. So homework help, we've had a lot of volunteers with. People who want to come in, sometimes corporations come in and do a day of service. We have people who want to come down and volunteer at camp for a couple of weeks.
Sure.
Sometimes younger kids who aren't able to be counselors, they're 14 years old, they want to come down and volunteer. We also see a number of volunteers who either are doing their community service for school or for confirmation classes. And then we have a number of retired retired teachers who want to continue to give back, who want to come in and help us with homework and things like that.
My goodness, that's a different world.
It really is.
It's a different world.
It's a fun world, though.
Do any of the clubs that you know of have an affiliation with the public school system in Rhode Island?
We all speak very regularly with our public schools. Here in East Providence, for example, in addition to our main club at Williams Avenue, we actually offer child care and homework help at a school-based site in Riverside. We actually are in the Oldham School down there.
Yep.
So we've been down there for 3 years. So I think that having a regular conversation with the school department to talk about our curriculum, to talk about what we're doing and what the school department is doing, is a vital, vital piece of making sure that we are advancing the educational aspects of the members. So we talk regularly with both the teachers and the principals in the district, and also with Dr. Caswell, who's Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Development, has reviewed some of our pieces, because we want to make sure that we're really on track with what we're offering.
It sounds like you're really targeting the educational point, which is a marvelous thing. Do you ever have, getting off the subject of education, do you ever have fundraisers to raise money for the club?
Absolutely.
And you do accept money donations?
Absolutely. Our budget roughly is about, we run about a budget of about $800,000 a year, and we raise more than half of that. So we are
$800,000?
$800,000 a year. So it's a lot of people think that we're either somehow city funded because it's the Boys and Girls Club of East Providence, or that traditionally that we get a lot of funding from United Way. In fact, we get we get a grant from the city of East Providence, but it's less than 5% of our operating budget, and we no longer receive any funding from United Way at all. So we're, like every other nonprofit agency out there, absolutely always seeking donations, both of money, but also in-kind donations. Sometimes people have even donated their old pool tables when they're moving out of their house or things like that. We get a whole variety of stuff that helps us keep going.
What about food and like warm clothing for?
We certainly have distributed a number of coats and things like that every year. We distribute baskets at Thanksgiving. We distribute baskets at the holidays. We also have accepted donations even for our snack program, because we do provide snacks every day for the children. So we serve both in accepting donations for stuff we can use and stuff we can pass along. A lot of times we may know families that are in crisis that are trying to fly below the radar screen, that don't want to ask too much for help, but we know who might need an extra warm coat or an extra pair of boots or an extra pair of mittens. So we try to be a resource.
If you ever have an overflow, do you ever give to other organizations?
Certainly, we've got a close relationship with East Bay Community Action Program, and they've got both the food pantry and they have their Dress for Success closet. So we'd be able to leverage that or reach out to some of the other shelters and things in the city. The nonprofit community in these times is getting smaller and smaller. We all have to work together to make sure that that we're all able to serve all of our missions.
What about the parent involvement? Do parents get involved, and in what capacity?
Over the last year, we have seen a huge increase in the amount of parent involvement we've had. And I've got to give a shout out to the Rhode Island Foundation, who gave us a grant along with the other Boys and Girls Clubs in Rhode Island to reinvigorate our parent involvement program. And I kind of went into it with some trepidation, because I'm a working mom. I know how hard it is to add that other piece to the end of the day, to go to a family night once a month for the club. And a key part of this grant was that there was also an educational component. And I thought, who is going to come to the club at 7 o'clock at night to go to a training? So we started this more than a year ago, where we do one night a month is family night. And we divide the night out into thirds. So we've got a third where we eat dinner. We have a third where we try to provide some sort of information that's helpful to parents. One month we had somebody come from a local credit union to talk about how to start saving for college, even at a very young age, and even if you don't have a lot to save, how even that little bit can make a difference. We had the East Providence Police come to talk about cyberbullying and sexting and all those other issues. We had people come to talk about summer safety and things like that. So a third of the evening is a little bit of information, nothing too heavy so that you're getting too much at night, but just a little bit of something that you can take away as a parent. And then a third of the evening is fun. So it could be a movie night, it could be a family swim. We actually collectively made a quilt that we're going to hang in our new lobby in our new gymnasium. And much to our shock, we get between typically 40 to 50 people a month who come and spend the evening with us.
I was going to ask if
so,
you had good participation.
Yeah, and as I said, we went into it not knowing what to expect and came out of it going, why didn't we do this 3 years ago? So the information's up on our website. We invite anyone to come by and enjoy just a fun, free, there's no charge, it's free.
That's fantastic.
Just come and hang out with your kids and have fun.
That's fantastic.
So we're excited about that.
What about other community services? Does the club get involved? What are they?
In terms of?
Other services that the club may offer to the community at large.
We certainly have
like maybe
space
clean
available.
up a park. Or
We have done with some of our, depending on how many kids we're funded to do summer employment with, we actually have done cleanups in the community. We helped rebuild some trails in East Providence. And then we also have space available. Some community groups use our games room at night. We try to be a community resource. So especially around space issues, a lot of times space is tough to come by in East Providence if you need to have a community meeting. So we're excited to be able to open our building up and offer that. After the floods, there was flood information. We were a census site. So that we try to be a central place in the community that people can come back to.
Boy, I can see your passion. We talked earlier about volunteers. What are some of the volunteers that work with the kids at the site, at Williams Avenue? What are some of the volunteers? What do they do?
As I said, the major area that we need help with every day is making sure kids have homework help.
Is the homework?
That's just because of the sheer volume of kids that we're trying to check and make sure that, you know, we have kids who are on our you have to do it every day list. We have parents who have said, can you please make sure you check Joey's work every day so we know that it's right. And so that's the big area. And then just running activities for the kids. We like to take kids in groups of 10 or 12 with one adult, just because I think that they connect better if it's not 30 kids, if it's 10 kids
True.
to one. And we even have actually a group of teens who volunteer with us, who are our peer leaders, who do substance abuse prevention activities, because
Wow.
a 10-year-old's going to listen to a 15-year-old.
They're mentoring them.
Rather than me.
That's fabulous.
For me, if I tell them not to, don't go do these bad things, whatever, it's just
That's
Miss Erin.
their mother.
Right. But if the cool teenager that used to come to the club comes and tells them you shouldn't do this and shows them how how to avoid things, it's a whole different game. So we have some specific programs they do as well.
You're talking about education, you're talking about they come out of school, they come back, they got to do their homework. But, it's the Boys and Girls Club. You must have tons of physical programs, games and all.
We do.
So what are some of the games that you have there? And
Well, at the moment,
what are they really like?
Yeah, we've got our games room, and we've got ping pong and pool and gaki, which is this crazy knock hockey thing that's played with squash balls that the kids love. And the traditional stuff. We have our pool. We do swim. We have a great swim team. We have 117 kids who compete on our swim
I heard
team.
it's a championship team.
We are. We have been the state champions in our Rhode Island, Massachusetts league for 5 years now. We have a great team. And then we do free swim lessons. And then we are seconds away from a truly transformational moment for our organization. We are one of the few Boys and Girls Clubs that I know of that does not have a gym. And to not have a place for the kids to be able to run around when we have winters like this one, when I can't send them to Central Avenue Playground because there's too much snow. We have been working for the better part of 8 years to find a spot, raise the money, and build a gym. And our floor is being installed on March 21st, and hopefully about 2 weeks after that, we're going to be playing basketball. Great. So we're excited to start offering basketball for kids. We're looking at indoor soccer and some other, other kind of activities. We're still in our planning stages of what we're going to do with this amazing new space, but we're overwhelmed. Over the summer, we'll be starting the last phase of the project, which is actually building out the second floor, which will give us 3 additional classrooms and more bathrooms. So once we're all said and done, we're going to have the ability to serve 75 to 100 more kids a day than we already are. So it'll bring us up to being able to serve about 250 a day.
Wow. How do you join?
You join by either going to our website, www.epbgc.org, or by stopping by. And our membership fee is a whopping $18 a year if you can afford it.
$18 a year.
$18 a year.
For all those activities.
For all those activities. We're the closest thing to a free lunch here.
Erin, it's been a real pleasure meeting you. And like I said earlier, you're really passionate about your work, and you have important work.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for coming on Reach Out.